Ya está.
Fantastic. Okay. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so agenda. Well, before we start, anything to announce? Anything new to say? Happy with that? Okay. So agenda for today. So in general lines, the idea is to talk about issue number 5, which is the fine organization team. Number 6 is going to be about the migration strategy and how we are progressing on that. Then we have issue number 4, which is regarding contribution policies. Then number 1, which is template as a baseline for the project. And then the last one is about license policies. So starting with the first one, organization teams, I have created some organization teams already. So the repos that I have migrated, they include already some teams by default. So basically there is like a maintainers teams, which basically is a team inside of One Beyond, which has access specifically as maintainer role inside of each repo that we have. For now, the admins teams is more related to administrator level to each of the repos. So as far as I know, maintainers and admins can, change secret tokens, things like that, which is the most like typical advanced thing. Also, you can include outsider contributors and things like that. So we have like kind of full permissions. Then we have additionally the triage team, which right now doesn't have any member, but the idea is if we need it in the future, we can have it. So the idea of the triage team is more a role of people who can modify, issues, attacks, mention people, things like that, but they cannot, merge pull requests or has write access full to all of the repos. So the idea is we have people that are super enthusiastic about open source and helping us so they can be triage team safety. And when we are ready, we can promote them to maintainers or something else. Aside of that, there are some additional teams like CocoJS or coding challenges, HR, appeals as well, and some systemic also. So the idea is we have some additional teams that are specific to project. So for example, we have Monaco 2, so they have write access to each related Monaco project or each related systemic project and so on. As far as I know, I think this can work fine, but if anyone have more suggestions, we can have it, but I think that's fine. Next topic, which is regarding the migration strategy, we
Ulises,
already...
sorry. Yeah, perhaps we can, as I see in the list of groups, perhaps some of them don't have much sense and we can even remove them, such as the one related to pills, for example. I don't know if that makes sense. Because, for example, for some projects that we want to make an effort right now, like Cuco, Shine.js, or Monaco, yes, perhaps we need those specific groups, but for others, I don't think so.
Yeah. Also, I'm not pretty sure if we're still doing the pills. Actually, there are like JS pills and Git pills. I think the only two repos that we have.
Yeah, we will do next year one related to two-factor pills, but as far as we can do pull requests to any repo, that's okay.
Okay, good. So I will add a note to remove pills team. And we are happy with the others. Do you think we are missing any other group?
Can share just for you to see the current ones. These are the ones.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think HR is still relevant as well. Not pretty sure if they have access to any specific repo, but...
Yeah, only one repo. It's only one repo
true.
they can access.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, aside of the pills team, the rest I think is fine. Okay, about the migration strategy, just checking from the last note. I started to migrate some of the repositories. I moved it already 25, if I remember well, like before the end of the month. And I moved Monaco just a few seconds ago. So important also to notice and to let other people know that, as soon as we move repos from one organization to another, they have to accept the invitations on the emails. Otherwise, they might temporarily lose the access to the repository. So But yeah, once they accept, they're supposed to have the same level of permission as before. I think I will still move in some repositories this month, so probably I will partially finish with the Excel that we currently have, which was the most top priority things. If we have, maybe we can do a second round later on, just discussing more details and adding more repositories, because I think there are tons of them outside of the list. That's good. That was issue number 6.
And on that part, Ulises, perhaps we need to contact Peter Sentai and Peter Nocta so they can start migrating their repos from JStack, because we can't do that.
Yeah, I think both Peters are off until the 7th of January, or at least Peter Nocta is until the 6th. So I have a catch up with him on the week after, like in the 10th or something. So I can revamp and explain also the strategy on the roles and all of that, so he knows how to do it. Okay, good. Or maybe I can help them also. I think I have some admin access to JStack too, but I need to double check. Okay, next one is contribution policies. Yeah, I think we had the idea in the previous meeting to create an email kind of thing, to address all the information regarding, to address in one place, all the concerns, especially from outside contributors and for other people. But we have a private discussion before, Inigo and myself, about maybe it's not the best way to have, an additional email to track what's going on, because it's on everybody and nobody, to control the team box. So I don't know, super open to discussion. Maybe we can have, some kind of form or something like that. So basically, collect that message and send it to a Slack channel. Maybe that's more responsive for us.
Could be possible to have a public Slack channel, maybe, in the company, not only a private Slack channel, because I think it's the most efficient way to contact.
Okay.
For that, we need a new organization, or is it possible to have a public channel in the current organization? I don't know that.
As far as I know, a lot of company has different accounts for this. I think one account is the normal account for private channels inside the company, but they have another channel in Slack, another name, maybe, yes, 1 Billion Open Source, for example, or something like that, for public contact. I think it's a good option.
Yeah, that's something that Ulises suggested some time ago, yes.
Yeah, I think so. Makes sense. And also a good thing is we can also include some automations, and avoid RAS in the current already overloaded Slack. So we basically can put some notifications on issues and, pull requests and changes and reminders and things like that. So if you don't have time to do contributions, you just close that Slack and you just can focus on the regular 100 million channels Slack, and that's fine. Okay. To who we need to address this to materialize? Should I ask Peter?
I can do that in the next engineering leadership team meeting if you want to listen.
Okay, so I will put you as a leader, and I will put that on the meeting minutes later, so we remember. Okay, I think it's a good idea. Pivotation to Slack, that makes sense. Okay, next one, it's for you, I think, Inigo, the template as baseline.
Yeah, I have added a first repo as a baseline for our new projects. It includes a code of conduct that I have used. I have copied from the contributor covenant code of conduct. The only thing that we need is to add that point of contact. But if we will go for the Slack, we only need to update that in the code of conduct. I have also added the README file, and let me see, because I don't remember what other thing I added. This is it. In fact, I can share it with you. Well, this is the license that as I have asked Peter and Alexis, they say that we will use MIT licenses for all our open source repositories. So it also includes that MIT license from 2022 to present. I have also added a template for code owners and the dependable GitHub Action. And in the pull request that I have shared with you, Ulises, we have the code of conduct, as I said, and an empty README file with the badge that says that we have a code of conduct. I have also tried to add settings such as protecting branches. I have protected the main branch, but I have tested creating a new repository based on this one, and these settings are not copied to the destination repository. And that's a pity because I think that there is no way to configure this for all the repositories. You need to go one by one manually.
There are no file or I don't know, or in any kind of like code owners or an external app, maybe with launch a pipeline when you fork or when you clone at the repo.
I can investigate that because it would be great to have some actions.
Or maybe at organization level, maybe it's possible to create as the poll.
No, I looked for that some time ago when we created this new organization, and there was no way to do that. That was my first option. Then I realized that it was not possible, and I thought then, okay, perhaps forking this or forking not using this public template is enough, but it's not.
Okay, open an issue to GitHub.
Open, for example.
We can ask if you want, I can do some investigation and try to ping some people in GitHub that I have some relation. So maybe I can get some ideas, if they have any alternative, or even if it's in the roadmap. So maybe it's not now, but in following months, quarter or year, So I can try to investigate it. So if you're happy with that, I will create a separate issue for tracking this one, and we can discuss progress.
And I don't know if you have any other idea about what to add in the template repository. Anyway, if we don't have any idea right now, we can add it later because this is the base one to create new repositories.
Yeah, I think maybe a meta file for, like a contributing MD, like just referring to a separate place where we have the typical rules and things like that, and how we structure the working branches or things like that, So we update it from one place and we just point from the repositories to that. So, and I think maybe the same goes for the license, although we are going to use MIT license, but, just in case we have some project that they have a different kind of licenses, like Creative Commons, if it's just pure documentation or things like that, maybe we can, instead of having licenses on each repo with all the details, we can just point out like, this is the same as other and pointing to the general one. So we explain that.
Okay.
Maybe that's easier to maintain, but
in the README file should go that. Okay.
Yeah, I think also we might need to include the files, because I think if we don't have, for example, the license file on the repo, it might be tricky later on, when we publish the libraries and things like that.
In fact, adding the license makes the GitHub interface to put it here. Exactly. If not, it doesn't put which type of license does the repo have, even if you make reference to another place.
Okay, I can investigate about it and see how big organizations do this kind of, maintaining this kind of files across millions of repos or hundreds of repos. So let's see how they use these meta files. But
okay, because apart from that, I was thinking about the templates for issues and pull requests and so on, but I think that it's easier in this case to have it at our organization level. And just in case we want some specific pull request templates or issue templates for a specific repo, then in that case, we will add them manually in the GitHub folder of the repo.
Sounds good. I'm taking some notes for that also on the minutes. Yeah, I think last one was in the license, but I think we already covered it. We agreed to go with MET, so
Yeah.
I think it's okay. We can, okay. So we'll remove it for the next meeting agenda. Okay, good. I don't know, any additional topic that was not in the original agenda?
I discovered some time ago, I don't know if you know this page, but for me it was helpful to decide about open source stuff. I don't know if you know this one, this page, open source guide. Perhaps we can take some ideas for the future from here also, because they also talk about open source metrics and some other stuff, and how to do the leadership of governance of the open source, that perhaps we can take ideas for the future. If you want, I can share the link I can share the link with you later.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. Sounds fantastic. Actually, we might be interested on, maybe it's early, but we might be interested in discussing about some metrics. So on how to implement metrics, see what other people are doing regarding metrics and things like that. So we are happy to start discussing that on next meeting, or it's too early.
Why not?
Okay, I will put it open source metric. Okay. I think aside of that, I saw a starting discussion just because we have like, yeah, I think we can borrow 5 minutes. But we have side discussion started by Inigo regarding on how to, track the roadmap for the projects. So that's a tricky thing because I don't know how we use that in the past in terms of having a regular roadmap and having some prediction on when we are going to ship some features. If that makes sense to have a global level, or we have a lot of separate group of projects, talking about Systemic, talking about Monaco, talking about, that are not super related one to each other. So maybe it makes sense to have separate ones. Makes sense to have one per, project. So I know Systemic, MongoDB has their own roadmap, which can be aligned or not with Systemic itself and the rest of the components. I don't know. It's a super open discussion, I think.
I like the idea of having one project per repository, but perhaps for some repositories that doesn't make sense. But for some others that have a lot of tasks involved, for example, right now we know that Monaco, Kuko, and Child.js will have a lot of, or License Checker will have a lot of tasks to work on. So perhaps it's better to have one project per repo in that case. And for others, perhaps we can do a common one. I don't know what you think.
I'm not sure what you mean, Inigo.
In GitHub, we can create one single project to manage all the issues from different repositories, or we can create one project per repository, or we can create one project per repository for some repositories, and for some others have like a general board.
Yeah, or what about create a project for ARIA or something like that? Because I think it's more or less the idea of project in GitHub, because you can work with different repos in a project and link in different issues in a project. So maybe we need to define some areas and create a project for this for each area. The tricky part is define these areas, I think.
Not so. I'm not so sure. I don't agree 100% with both of you. I would think that it depends, to be honest. I don't know, for example, talking about Kuku.js, I could think that we can have a project for that. I don't know how many repositories you need, but it's something for that. And I don't know, thinking of HR, I would create a project for them if they need that. This is just an example. And that's different because HR it's an area to say that. and Cuckoo.js, it's a project. It's not an area because I would think of backend, frontend as areas, and I wouldn't go that way. I would think of depending on the project or the task that they need to do. We can create those projects for one repo and a repo, some team, multiple teams. I don't know.
I mean, I would go with the easy solution. It's one project per repo. And if it becomes unmanageable, then we start reorganizing it as we think is best. Once we are in the, well, let's cross that bridge when we come into it, so to speak.
That's also sensible, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
sounds
great.
good.
Yeah, I'm happy with, hold the decision until we are more, at least until we move, we migrate the repository. So that's the first thing. And then when we have that clear, I think we will have enough teams or groups related to each project. So maybe it's up to them to decide how to manage.
Yes, and it's something that could change, because at the end the issues, for example, is in the repo, and everything is related with the repo at the end. It's only like a view, a project.
Yeah. Actually this, no? When you have this GitHub project, I think in the old and the new ones, you have the option to link issues that are in the project, so you can move
Yes.
it. So for example, that's super useful in the case of systemic, like where you have a lot of little projects with small things, and we can put in a roadmap and start to drag the
It's
issues
like
around.
I work in this way in Infinitas, because we have 4 or 5 repos, but it's related with the same project more or less, and we create a project for this. And because sometimes the issues is related one project and the other repo, so it's the useful
Yeah.
thing.
Also, there is the
That's the
option of the monorepo. Sorry, kind of like the monorepo guy today. But like, if they want to go, like if you have things that change together, you can keep them together through a monorepo. No need to complicate things.
Okay, makes totally sense. Okay, I will put that on the meeting minutes, and I will create a pull request later. Anything else that we want to discuss? We're happy. Okay. So then it's already finished.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.